Hello, namaste to all of you. Welcome back to my channel. Like promised, I am bringing to you the video for the Age of Aquarius. Yes, finally. Been talking about this for a long time. Okay, and I've been wanting to make this video for a while as well, but I was kind of hoping that I would add the information about what the Age of Aquarius is, and also add the part about the visions and dreams I've had about the Age of Aquarius since I was a little girl. But yesterday, while I was meditating, Ma Kali sort of spoke to me and told me that I have to make this video like as soon as possible and put it out there. Today's video is going to heavily focus on what the ages are, how they worked, and how humanity has kind of moved through the different ages to the Age of Aquarius that we are heading into in December. So the second part of the video I'm going to post around the Age of Aquarius. That is going to be all about the visions and the dreams that I've had about the Age of Aquarius. Now, of course, these are all visions and dreams of the future. I myself don't know how much of these will be true, but I am definitely going to put this information out there because I feel like that's the right thing to do. Let's get started. So hey, before I start off, I want to use this aura spray to kind of cleanse out the environment, the ambience, so I have made this aura spray from scratch. This is more jasmine-y, jasmine like flower. I don't know why I said jasmine-y. So it has jasmine flowers. I also use something with that smells so good. I also have aura sprays with lavender and lily rose flowers, but the one I chose to do today was jasmine. I don't know why I said to use, sorry. I guess I'm just very excited to go over all the details, so I'm rambling a little bit, so please excuse me. Also, I am going to be using my notes because I have a lot of information to go over, so I want to make sure that I don't miss out on anything. Okay, so all right, let's go. So the Age of Aquarius, right? Now before we get into that, I want to give you a little bit of the background. Okay, so humans have existed for a long time, right? And in huge cities and settlements, like the Atlanteans, the ancient Atlanteans. But you have to understand that there is a cycle of evolution that repeats itself over and over and over again. In this cycle, there is, a knowledge, wisdom, the way we live, and come and go. That this everything happens in repetitions, and every time the cycle is completed and we come back to, point A from where we started, we come back with even more knowledge and wisdom, and we start off much better than we did the previous cycle. So this is how cycles keep moving on and on and on. So each cycle is about 25,000 years, give or take. This includes the actual ages and also the transitioning periods between the different ages. Okay, so many believed that the Age of Aquarius started on 21st of December 2012, when the Mayans had predicted the end of the world. Basically, they were not predicting the end of the world, they were predicting the end of a cycle, right? The age cycles, each of them is about 2,000 years approximately, and then we have the transition years, like I said. So basically, the last 20 years that we have experienced from year 2000 to 2020, this has been part of the transition, the end cycle of the Age of Pisces. Okay, so this was a little bit of the brief introduction before we get right into the ages. Okay. So guys, normally, when you look at the astrological signs, right, the first sign of the zodiac is Aries, right? But the ages work differently, okay? The astrological ages start with the age of Leo, all right, which is the golden period. And then it moves to the age of Cancer, and then it moves to the age of Gemini, age of Taurus, age of Aries, age of Pisces, age of Aquarius, yay, and then age of Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, and then back to age of Leo, right? So this is how the astrological ages work. They kind of work backward as opposed to forward, right? So guys, like I told you, the first age that we started with was the age of Leo. This is the golden age, okay? This was when individuality started. Okay, humans began to think as separate beings with different abilities. Okay, this was when the desire to lead, have power over others, brought about the first kind of rulers, priests, healers of human origin. Before that, humanity was led by more advanced mentors and energies. Okay, this was also the time when passion, sex, expressing freely your heart's desires was a common feature. So such people have strong personalities. They're leaders. They're very individualistic. They're ruled by their heart. So they're extremely passionate, creative, and sexual beings. So in this golden age of humanity, the consciousness of connection with God, universe, higher selves was part of human reality in 3D realm. People of this time weren't afraid of death, okay, as they were aware that they had been part of multi-dimensional levels of the universe. Right? The next age of Leo, of course, will be in 12,000 years approximately, when we will have again mastered our multi-dimensional reality of being. Although this time, like I said, we possess more clarity as a race, because every time, like I said earlier, whenever we do complete a cycle and come back to point A from where we started, we come back with more knowledge, we come back with more wisdom and more clarity. So every time the cycle just gets better and better. Well, hopefully, that's what I hope, but I'm assuming that's the case. Anyways, so the next age after Age of Leo is the Age of Cancer. So Cancer is a water sign, right? It's a very intuitive sign. It's a very feminine sign. Doesn't necessarily mean that this does not apply to men, because like I've said in my previous videos multiple times, that every one of us has masculine and feminine features and behaviors, right? Everybody has that. Everybody has that energy of masculine and feminine within them. So Age of Cancer was more feminine in its power, in its way of being, right? So this was when the divine feminine held a major power in the world. Humans had begun to settle in houses and settlements, and agriculture, farming were just introduced. Okay, so this was the time when people began to get a little bit sophisticated, right? The mother and her nurturing skills were worshipped. Women had power, and societies were matriarchal in nature. So women of that time, they were voluptuous, okay, as can be witnessed or seen in figurines from that time period, okay. Humans at this time were still highly connected and intuitive. They had clarity and almost a sense of instinctive knowing of what to do. What we perceive as instincts today is in the age of Pisces, right? What we call instincts today in the age of Pisces, back then, was an instant connection to the divine or the universal dimensions, through which messages and visions, or perhaps even images, were directly received by the human. This was the time when organized religion, well, it didn't exist, okay? There was no such thing as organized religion, because people directly received messages from the divine. So there was no need to have what we today know as religion, okay? So this was basically what was the Age of Cancer. Now we go to Age of Gemini, the twins, duality, right? This was the time when the first settlements started to turn into bigger cities, and trade began to be established between people and different cultures, okay? Gemini is a sign of communication, connections, logical reasoning, right? Its planet is Mercury. Okay, Mercury is all about the intellect, logical reasoning, the communication between people. So this period, just like that, saw a sign of trade. There was a barter system, the exchange of goods and services that kind of started between different countries, different cultures, and communications and connections were better established. This was the first time since the destruction of the Atlantis, the ancient city of Atlantis, that saw cultural exchange of infrastructure between different cultures. So in this age, humans discovered the written language, the written word again, and reinvented sort of, writing and languages. So a lot of languages were discovered or created during the Age of Gemini, because Gemini is all about the intellect, like I told you, and also the communication part, right? So at the beginning, there were the glyphs, right, which were rudimentary in their form. But then it got more complicated as time passed. So the first written records are from this time period, the Age of Gemini. The sign of Gemini, too, like I've said before, it rules skills and art. At this time, people began to refine those skills, that craft, that art, and humans began to develop their reasoning and practical and logical abilities. So as the use of the left rational side of the brain began to increase, the right side, the right hemisphere of the brain, which is more intuitive, it began to lose its power. Telepathic and psychic abilities were substituted with more practical, analytical abilities. And that was the need of the hour at the time, but people began to gradually descend from spirit to, say, matter and materialism, right? They started to lose the ability to connect with the divine as naturally as they used to, say, in the age of Cancer, or when the ages began in the golden period of the age of Leo. So human beings in Age of Gemini started loosening, like I said, the contact with the divine, so they could develop individual thinking processes, right? And that is what the Age of Gemini was all about, right? A little bit of more refinement, trade, in establishing connections between different cultures, different people from different areas, and writing and craft and art and all of that. So then we move down to the Age of Taurus, which is also the age of the ram. Okay, in this age, people began to further develop the settlements and the cities that they had already started living in the Age of Gemini. And around this time, farming was a major lifestyle. So there were very, very sophisticated changes made in agriculture and farming, and architecture too during this time became a strong and large part of the culture of the time period, right? So knowledge of 3D realm and about nature during this time increased. Taurus is the sign of materialistic wealth. It's a grounded sign. It's a very earth-based sign. So just like its sign, that time period as well was very based on the 3D realm, okay? Understanding and establishing a better, better roots, stronger roots, living on Earth. So people began to spend more time trying to understand the 3D realm in order to be able to make the most of their incarnations on the planet, right? So people began to associate more with the material world and material-based needs. So basically practicality took over the connection with the five senses. So earlier people were very attuned with the five senses, but now it was more about, practicality, right? So people also began to lose their powers of connecting with their intuition and divine, and that pretty much became a thing of the past. It was also around this time that many cultures began to worship the cow and the bull. So Egyptians, Indians, a lot of different cultures started worshiping the cow or the bull, because they used these animals for farming, agriculture, and so they were important. Livestock was important, and so was so was the respect factor, right? They were kind of tools, and they were also the ways people basically had a livelihood. So the more cows and bulls somebody had, the richer they were. So this was a sign of what should I say, modern day rich people, right? Like, people have cars now and huge homes. Back in the day, people had, the more livestock somebody had, the richer they were, right? So that was a status symbol. So anyways, beautiful feminine forms ruled the Taurus sign. They had much power in the society then, and were often worshipped or were leaders. So again, like the Age of Cancer, Age of Taurus also had a lot of women leaders and powerful people, right, were women. This is also the time of the Ramayana. That's why the Age of the Ram, right? Not just the Age of the Ram as in like Ram, but also Ram is the bull, right? So Age of the Ram. So then I mean, this entire thing is interesting, because if you try and look at the parallels of these ages and compare them to astrology and relate them to people's personalities, you will understand a lot of that happening, but on a more global scale, because of the fact that that particular age was essentially just establishing this journey for human beings that help them find more rootedness in this earthly realm. Well, the part of having an incarnation per se on earth is to have an opportunity for the soul to grow, because when a soul is not on earth, when a soul is in another higher dimension, right, it doesn't have much chance of evolution. The only way a person or a spirit, not a person but a spirit, can evolve into something better is when it's incarnated, right? So as you can see, people's incarnations in different ages, they kind of try to find their footing to survive on the planet, because they needed to learn these different aspects of survival skills to be able to live in those time periods. So that's pretty much how things worked at the time, right? Well, anyway, having said that, we now move to the Age of Aries. Okay, so the Age of Aries, like the astrological sign Aries, this time period was also heavily driven by the planet Mars, and Mars is all about the masculinity, right, and war. So this was the time of great military cultures across the world. So whether it was the Egyptians, Indians, Persians, Romans, Spartans, in this age, perfect male body and power were the more revered developing, right? And women were trampled over. The concept of ruling over the weak took over. This was the time of mighty heroes like Arjun, Bhishma, Karan, Hercules, Spartacus, Achilles, Alexander the Great, right? So of course, with war comes weapons, and with weapons comes metallurgy, right? The use of metals. So metallurgy during this time period developed, and so did engineering, logic, mathematics, right? And many of these cultures continued to worship the ram, the cow, or the bull, right? So this was the time when men held the powerful positions. Men were the ones deciding how the society functions as a whole. And so wars were a major theme during this time. So Trojan War, the Mahabharata, everything happened during the Age of Aries. Then from the Age of Aries we move to the Age of Pisces. So the Age of Pisces is the birth of Christianity, is the birth of Christ, right? The symbols of Christianity also, if you notice, is, it's the fish. Jesus's disciples, if you know, were fishermen, and he was the lamb that was sacrificed, right? Which indicated the end of the Age of Aries, right? And the beginning of Age of Pisces. So Christianity, Buddhism, these religions introduced this feeling of compassion, kindness, and sacrificing for an important cause. Before this, charity, empathy, forgiveness were a rare virtue. They weren't very, very common. So the Age of Pisces had a lot of bloody and barbaric moments, because that energy of the Age of Aries kind of rolled into the Age of Pisces, right? Because I told you before that the Age of Aries is all about the war, right? The great wars that were fought all across the planet. And so that energy kind of transitioned its way into the Age of Pisces. So at the beginning of every age, the older cycle kind of continues parallel to the current cycle for some time, right? And in the Age of Pisces, there were amazing and refined pieces of art and music, and they became a popular theme or a common theme of this time period, right? Human beings had to start learning about connecting with the divine without being able to directly experience that divinity themselves, because human beings over a period of time lost their ability to directly get the messages from divine. As I have mentioned, that this started to take a backseat around the Age of Gemini, when logical reasoning and thinking kind of took over. The left hemisphere of the brain took over. And so the intuitive side, the right hemisphere of the brain, kind of started taking backseats, and people obviously started using their telepathic and psychic abilities, the ones that they had when they essentially incarnated on the planet in the Age of Leo, right? So Age of Pisces, again, is all about devotion and idealism. Hence why this period saw the rise of religions, all across the globe. This is the age of illusions, the age of lies, suffering, deceit, victimization of the innocent, martyrdom, monotheism, even fraud, right? You see all of that happening on the daily, right? People cheating each other and lying to each other, and this fraud being committed, and people lie, so there's a lot of deceit, the energy of deceit, perhaps even history, in the last 2,000, 3,000 years, maybe actually even more, since the age of Aries, perhaps 5,000 years, I should say, that history has been really messed with, so people have a very little idea of what is truth and what is false. So this Age of Pisces is all about that. The Age of Pisces, kind of brings that notion that this history, everything that we are today, is kind of based on lies, right? That's why, like I said, it's the age of the illusions, right? So this age is also when the heart and souls of people began to feel the need to connect with something that was more powerful, that was bigger than them. That's why they created modern religion, right? They wanted to connect with the higher divine, the divine energy, and basically find a way to connect with each other, because people almost lost touch, right, of reality. So like I said, this is how modern religion was born, and this was also the phase where we were prepared for the next cycle, which is the Age of Aquarius. And Age of Aquarius is the age of brotherhood, right? So finally, now that we've gone through the entire history of how the ages worked and how humans kind of descended from being, these divine spiritual beings to trying their best to connect with something that they consider divine, right? We come down to the Age of Aquarius. The Age of Aquarius is the age of freedom, consciousness. It's the age of technology. It's the age of innovation, right? So, like I said in the beginning, the last 20 years that we have been experiencing is what I call a transition phase. Okay, we all experience problems escalating during this time. Humans lost their humanity, and in a sense, were violated and mistreated during this time. So as the constellation of Aquarius began to get closer, we have witnessed the Industrial Revolution, technological advancements, because Aquarius, it rules sciences, innovation, and technology, okay? So that's why this period is heavily going to be focused on that, as well as raising our consciousness. Okay, so this period of transition, we're going to be seeing science used in a more constructive manner, as opposed to, in the Age of Pisces, when we saw science being used more destructively, say the atom bomb, or, pollution, the way pollution has been, a major issue in these last 20 years at least, right? These are transitional issues that have kind of come in to the Age of Aquarius. But as time passes, we will see, modern science and technology that's going to develop in this period find active solutions to resolve these problems, right? So many people argue, if there's this major argument amongst people about, humans just being machines, right? That everything that occurs is a coincidence, because the mind of the people is so disconnected from their hearts or their spirits, that people cannot fathom the idea of God or something that is that exists, that is bigger and more powerful than us. Okay, of course I also believe humans are divine, but like I said, that people have lost their sense of divinity and hence have lost their way. So people think that science has more prominence, but and the idea of the spirit kind of took a back seat. But during the Age of Aquarius, we're going to be witnessing a balance happening. Like I said, science and spirit kind of go hand in hand, right? Science is going to need the understanding of higher consciousness and divinity in order to venture out and understand the space, the universe, and how it works and how it functions. And the same way, people who are more in tune with their spirit or more consciously aware of their their gifts, their telepathic abilities, would require the help of science to be able to share certain knowledge and certain wisdom that the divine kind of passes through them. I don't know how to explain this, but I guess you get the idea, right? So this time period is going to see a lot of that. This time period is going to see a lot of that happening. Fascism, communism, dictatorship, corporationalism, right? They have been a huge part of the society. However, the more we get into the Age of Aquarius and connect to our higher forms of being and manifestations, we will discover inexhaustible sources of free energy that would be working in harmony with nature, and also increase of technological advancements. So increase in our human consciousness will help us reconnect with our telepathic abilities. Many will become aware of their spiritual gifts, and community work will increase. So will the need for freedom, justice, and equality. Something that we're all kind of witnessing already. Sorry about that. The candle kind of blew out, but so yeah, there is an increase in human consciousness, which will help us all reconnect with telepathic abilities. Many at this time will become aware of their spiritual gifts. Community work will become a theme, and it will, people will start working in communities even more. So will the need for freedom, justice, and equality. Aquarius rules interconnected networks and friendships based on mutual goals. So hence, blood relations will kind of take a backseat, and the soul tribe, people that you connect with on a much deeper level, will kind of take over, right? They will matter more. So in the coming time, we are going to witness old systems collapsing. We will witness revolutions against governments. There'll also be frequent natural disasters in this transitioning period that we're still currently in. Mass deaths will take place due to calamities, food shortage, diseases, or issues of low immune systems. So, COVID in 2020 was just a small trailer in terms of what's to come. The world, as we know, guys, is shifting into a new energy, which will lead us to a great awakening. Okay, it has already started, but the vibrations are only going to get stronger and stronger. So, of course, when an old cycle ends and a new one begins, it causes upheaval. There'll be chaos, there'll be pain, right? But by the end of the decade, okay, by the end of around 2030, people will feel more united. There'll be more compassion and kindness and universal love, and that will be the way of the people and how they express themselves. So, this is basically what the Age of Aquarius is essentially about, and this is how the ages work. Of course, like I said before, I will be making another video, a part 2 of this Age of Aquarius video, where I'm going to be basically just focusing on the visions and the dreams of what I've seen the Age of Aquarius will bring forward. So they can be random details. I'm still trying to go over all the journals that I've written over the years, and I'm trying to figure out which ones are like super important from this time period, so I can share that with that information with you guys. So so basically this is the video about the Age of Aquarius. I hope you understand better how we came to this place, why certain things that are happening in humanity are currently happening. This has been a downward spiral, so to speak, but things are looking up, guys, because Age of Aquarius is only going to take us forward, and we're going to be learning a great deal about ourselves and about higher consciousness and connecting with the divine, and the divine within us. Okay, and we'll be moving into better times. Okay, of course there is going to be a difficult transition phase that we're currently in, but don't lose hope, stay strong. Okay, keep meditating, keep trying to connect with yourself, with the higher, keep trying to connect with your higher self. Do grounding meditations and stuff, chant mantras, whatever it is that you believe very strongly in, study it, learn it, understand it, okay? Because that is going to be extremely important. Positive affirmations, positive thinking, positive outlook is what's going to help us in this Age of Aquarius, because only people who are attuned to their conscious and higher selves will be able to survive things that are going to take place in this age. And so let's hope that by working on ourselves and by connecting with ourselves, we're also going to strengthen our immune system, so that it gives us the courage and the fight to fight all the diseases or whatever that are around us currently. Even COVID, like, a lot of people are dying simply because their immune systems are not strong enough. And so essentially it's extremely important to eat right, live right, exercise, meditate, okay, and just be very, very positive. And because positivity automatically affects our immunity. Okay, it also affects the way we think, we feel about ourselves, and the way we act towards other people. So guys, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive, stay peaceful and calm, and God bless you guys. All right, take care, and I shall make another video soon. I'm not sure about what yet, but I will figure that out in the next couple of days. So yeah, good luck, guys. Take care. Bye bye.